The goal is to make this video 10 minutes or less. I don't want to be rambling for a long time. I just want to quickly go over, spend some little bit of time though, talking about the Raptors and their season overall as a whole. I'm not going to dive too much into the negatives because I think there are a lot of positives this season to look for and stick on to. So we'll just get right into it. I wrote these as I was watching Game 7 yesterday. So first, I just want to talk about who's here to stay because in the playoffs alone, a lot of new names, new faces have shown that they're here to stay. First off, Scotty Barnes, obviously we knew he was staying, but he also showed that he's ready for the moment and he's not going to back down. His play, mainly offensively, because he's always been a stellar defender. His offensive play jumped up a ton in the postseason because it was much needed. So I think that was amazing. Him taking all these fadeaway pull-up jumpers, he was not really doing that 2 years ago. His three-point shot still needs to come around, but he wasn't really shooting it that much in the playoffs, and he was still putting up 20 points, 20-some points. So I don't think he needs to be a three-level, like, efficient, crazy scorer, because in the dream scenario, you'd want to have not a better player necessarily, but a better scorer next to him for a championship run, I think. Next, the young guys, a lot of the young guys, CMB, only a rookie, but he's playing amazing, and he's undersized because the team is undersized. So he's asked to play center a lot of the times, and he delivers. Very physical, good hustler. Again, like Scotty, he can't shoot, but in the long run, I don't think that matters until he starts playing the four. Maybe if we can have a center in the future that is a okay shooter, or he becomes an okay shooter, it'll probably manage because that defense when he is on the floor is so good. Next, I'm thinking two more names here. Next, Jacoby Walter. He was one of my guys from the start. I like him. I like his game, and he is one of the few valuable shooters on this team. So if he can keep getting better with that, he did have 2 straight games where he had 0 made field goals, but other than that, like, he plays defense. He's not a bad defender, and he doesn't make like bonehead plays. So just another year of progression in the offseason, I think, will be very beneficial for him. Same as Jamal Shed. If you think about like what the Raptors were doing on paper, if you just said that they were beating or came the closest they can to beating the Cavs, when a lot of their roster, or a good chunk, is like guys in their first 2 years in the league, and like Jamal Shed is a second round pick, but he's starting and he's giving you tons of minutes, not because he's like forced to, but he's like actually that good like that. He's been actually shooting, which he was not doing in the regular season. His shots were landing, which was very surprising, but I liked it, of course. So I'm not thinking that'll stick, but like him as a player, he just has to, I think, get a better floater game, of course, and maybe not get in foul trouble. But he's like a hustler, hard fighting guy, so those fouls are gonna happen. And quickly, RJ Barrett, I think he was in a lot of trade talks, yes, but that much needed scoring he brings is very beneficial. Now, if they can go get someone else who like is a maybe more consistent scorer, or maybe also plays a bit of defense, then potentially move him. But his 3-point shot was also falling a little more than it was in the regular season too. I think the team as a whole was very surprising on how many threes they were making, but that's what happens when you play hard. Speaking on if this play that they were doing in the playoffs can continue and stay relevant into next year, I obviously it's not going to be the exact same because playoffs are a whole new intensity and it's only for 16-ish games if you make it all the way. So that things will tone down next year, but just in general, the hard fighting plays, the better 3-point shooting, I think a lot of that can happen with development in the offseason, getting this experience that they just got, especially if they don't make a ton of like okay moves, and if they keep the chemistry the same, because there's a lot of people who play good together. You just have to hope for health and hope shots are landing. I did write down the free agents. We have a few guys on team options that they'll probably get accepted, but Mamu has a player option for 2.8 million. I'm assuming he's gonna decline that. Will he want to resign? I don't know. I think he would be nice to keep on the team as long as he doesn't want a lot, because the Raptors do not have a lot of money to spend. And in a way, he fills what they need, which is a center. But before, I'll go to that later. Garrett Temple also is a free agent. If he doesn't retire, he'll be back. But again, with the bigs, that is one of the main things they need to address. I wrote exactly center play, shooting, consistent offense. You've seen it in Game 7. Like there were times, and all the time in the regular season, where shots are not falling. It's a bit forced. Like, we're not a 3-point shooting team. Why are we shooting threes? And that goes along with shooting too. If you really look at like the shooters, it's Jacoby Walter, Jamison Battle, and Grady. Grady cannot buy a shot. That's why he didn't play in the playoffs. Jamison Battle isn't much outside of a shooter, so like he didn't play a whole bunch. And Jacoby Walter did play a lot. He was not like amazing as a shooter, but he's in his second year. You got to give him grace. I'm hoping he'll be better next year, which he should be. But center play is probably the biggest thing, because this helps you get second chances. This helps the other team from getting easy paint points. And the Raptors did an amazing job with CMB as their big, just because he's so physical and he fights. He's also a little strong too. But if you look past him at Mamu, he's undersized. Everyone's basically undersized except for Jakob Poeltl. But Mamu's undersized. He's better as a 4 because he can shoot and he's not super slow. But he's been asking to play a lot of 5. They have Jonathan Mobo, who doesn't play. He's undersized. And then Jakob Poeltl, who everyone's like trashing him because his level of play and his contract obviously is bad. I think he can not be back to where he was a few years ago, where he was giving you like 16 and 9 or something like that with those amazing push shots. But I think with a whole offseason of like rehab on that back and all those issues he was dealing with this year, I think he can be back to like not terrible. Like, hopefully he'll gain some of that like lateral quickness back, so he's actually playable a lot of the times. Maybe he's just more efficient as a shooter, because he was getting the ball a whole bunch before, like in the last few seasons, around the free throw line, 3-point, just doing handoffs. They didn't really do that much. I guess they had to adapt without him, and they probably just didn't want to incorporate it back and all that much. But yeah, so what they need to address, it's a lot to ask for, especially with the little money, but if they don't trade their draft pick, it's probably around like 20-ish. So, not saying you're getting a starter, but if they can address the shooting or the center play, preferably the center play, I would go with that. I don't know much about the draft at all, but if there's a guy like a big who preferably is like quick and just gets boards, he doesn't need to shoot. He does not need to be a crazy scorer, but like, you have Scotty on this team, you have Emmanuel Quickly, Brandon Ingram. You don't need a scoring big, but you need one who can play defense, can stay on the floor, and can catch lobs. Maybe like a little bit better than Clint Capella, I would say, in the long run. But yeah, I think they're developing a good bench. They did, along with playing a bunch of guys who are in their first 2 years, they also took the cast to 7 without one of their starters for the whole series, and without a second one for 2, almost 3 games, which is crazy to think about. If they would have won, that would have just put so much more like pressure, humiliation, if you wish, on the Cavs. But they didn't. But you still have to tip your caps to the Raptors. And last thing I wanted to talk about is just ending off on a good note, what they have accomplished this year. Like I said, taking the Cavs to 7 without 1 to 2 of their starters all the time, playing with those young guys and doing amazing. Like one of the announcers said on the game yesterday, like these are not household names. Like, people outside of like crazy ball knowers and Raptors fans, they don't know Jamal Shed. They have an idea of who like Emmanuel Quickly, Jakob Poeltl is, but they don't like know them. They don't know Jacoby Walter. They don't know Mamu. Like, yeah, they know like star names, and they also had 2 All-Stars. They avoided the play-in. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year the Raptors forced a game 7 as a top 6 seed, I would have been very impressed. And here we are. I'm impressed. If we went back to my prediction video, I had them at a play-in team, I think maybe 8 to 9. which is wow. So they exceeded my expectations. They had crazy good moments. They had bad moments, but regardless, they still overachieved. And I think it's fairly sustainable. Next year, you have the Pacers getting better, of course. Who knows what happens? Will happen with the Magic, Celtics? Who knows? Cavs? Who knows? But like the Knicks will still be up there. 76ers, you would assume to be better than the 7 seed. But yeah, I think the Raptors are right in that area to kind of stay in the 6-ish, 5-6 range. So that would be pretty good. And who knows if they make a trade? Probably not, but you really never know with anything in the league. And lastly, which I kind of mentioned and what they overachieved, you saw progression in players. And I was mainly talking about the playoffs. Like Darko said it himself that he loved watching this team come together and loved being able to coach them through the whole year and the playoffs mainly included. But like you saw guys fighting hard and doing all of these like unteachable things that you would just love and prefer as a coach. So I did go over 10 minutes here, but I just wanted to rant a little bit about my favorite team now that their season's over. I'm very happy overall with how it went and hoping this play continues in the future. I'm out.